Chapter 1. The Girl in the Dirt. The packhouse bell rang 3 times, sharp, cold, and final. Each clang echoed through the Blackstone pack like a death sentence. It meant one thing: punishment. Daphne didn't flinch when the guards came for her. She was already kneeling in the mud behind the kitchens, hands stained with raw meat and ash from the discarded fire pit. Her thin dress clung to her like a second skin, damp from the early rain. She didn't ask what she'd done wrong. She never did. In Blackstone, being Daphne was enough. The guards didn't speak. They didn't need to. One of them grabbed her by the hair, yanking her upright. Pain flashed behind her eyes, but she didn't scream. She had learned not to. Scream and they'd give you something to scream for. They dragged her through the village square, through sneering wolves and whispering omegas. Children tossed stones. One struck her cheek. Blood trickled down, but she held her chin high. She saw him. High above, on the balcony of the Alpha's quarters, her father stood, Alpha Gideon of Blackstone. Next to him, the Luna, her mother Lyris, radiated the cruel elegance of a queen who had exiled her own child without guilt. Neither looked at her. She didn't expect them to. She had long since stopped being their daughter. She was their shame, their slave. The guards flung her at the whipping post. Familiar, cold, splintered from years of use. She barely felt the iron shackles anymore. 20 lashes, someone announced, for insolence in the kitchen and disrespecting the Luna's orders. She hadn't spoken a word in days. The whip cracked. She counted, silently. 1, 2, 5, 10. By 15, her body was raw. The mud beneath her soaked in red. But her wolf stayed silent, hidden deep within, caged. At 20, the crowd dispersed, bored. No one helped her. No one ever did. But someone watched. Miles away, in the bordering kingdom of Nightwind Pack, Alpha Caleb Rainthorn stood before a council of warriors, but his mind wasn't on their words. He couldn't ignore the scent that had clung to him since that skirmish near Blackstone's borders 3 nights ago. A scent like wild roses and blood. He'd only seen her for a second, face bruised, eyes haunted, but it was enough. Something inside him had snapped. Now he couldn't sleep, couldn't shift. His wolf, Riker, was restless, snarling at the edge of his control. Mate, Riker had whispered that night, but it couldn't be. The girl had been a slave, and Caleb, he was an alpha of legacy, bred for power and strength. Mating a slave? A girl that looked half dead and belonged to Gideon, his enemy? Unthinkable. Yet he couldn't forget her. Back in Blackstone, Daphne woke in the infirmary, a dingy corner of the servants' quarters. Her back screamed. Her lips were cracked. No water. No bandages. She moved in silence, as always. No one noticed when she slipped out and into the woods. She just wanted to breathe. But the forest didn't offer peace. That night, under a blood-red moon, the ground trembled with approaching paws. Rogues. 3 of them. Filthy. Rabid. Hungry. She turned to run, but her legs gave out. Her wolf whimpered within, too weak, too suppressed to rise. One lunged at her, and then, a blur of dark fur, fangs, and rage tore through the clearing. In seconds, the rogues were dead or fleeing, and standing in the blood-drenched moonlight was a black wolf, massive, golden-eyed, regal. He shifted and she gasped. Alpha Caleb Rainthorn. He stared at her, shirtless, blood-slicked, eyes wide in disbelief. You, he said. It's really you. She blinked. He was breathing hard, fists clenched. You're mine. Daphne shook her head, backing away. No, I'm no one. You're mistaken. But Riker growled from within him, loud and thunderous. Mate. And in that moment, as her eyes locked with his, Daphne felt a snap. Not pain. A bond. The bond. Chapter 2. A Slave's Mate. Daphne stared at the man before her, the Alpha, Caleb Rainthorn. His chest was streaked with blood that wasn't his, golden eyes locked on hers like they were tethered to her soul. No, she whispered. You can't be. I am, Caleb said, stepping forward. You're my mate. Daphne recoiled. She had imagined many things in her sleepless nights. Death, escape, maybe even a moment of kindness from a stranger. But never this, never a mate, and never him, a man feared across all territories. "Don't," she breathed, voice cracking. "Don't play games with me." Caleb didn't flinch. "Do you think I planned this? That I want to be mated to someone who can't even look me in the eye?" That stung. A reminder of how broken she was. "I'm not worthy," she said softly, clutching her filthy cloak tighter around her trembling frame. "I'm not even a wolf anymore. My parents made sure of that." "You are worthy," Caleb growled. "The bond wouldn't exist if you weren't." Then he paused. "Your parents did this to you?" Daphne's silence was answer enough. He turned his face away, struggling to hold back his fury. Riker howled inside him, demanding they take her now. Mark her. Protect her from every possible threat. But Caleb had to be careful. She was terrified, broken. He extended a hand instead. "Come with me." Back at Blackstone, Luna Lyris felt it, like a ripple in the air, a disruption in fate. She turned to Alpha Gideon, eyes narrow. "She's alive," he grunted. "She won't be for long. The rogues will finish her." "No," she said coldly. "She's been claimed." His eyes widened. "By who?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew who had been sniffing near their borders. Rainthorn. The thought of their castaway daughter being mated to the strongest alpha in the region, it was unacceptable. Dangerous. "Then we end her now," Gideon said. Daphne didn't know what to expect from Nightwind territory. She didn't expect the sprawling mountains, the moonlight cascading over pine-covered hills, or the silence that didn't reek of judgment. She didn't expect the warriors who bowed to Caleb like he was more than an alpha, like he was a god. And she never expected a room. Her own room, with a bed, warm sheets, a mirror, a bath. "I can't stay here," she whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. "Yes, you can," Caleb said. "You're mine. You belong here." "No, I don't," she shouted, voice cracking. "I'm nothing. They said I was a mistake, an embarrassment. My wolf. She's caged. They did something I can't shift. I can't feel her anymore." She crumbled, and for the first time in her life, someone caught her when she fell. Caleb knelt, wrapping her in his arms. "Then we'll find her together." She shivered. "They'll come for me." Caleb's eyes gleamed with menace. "Let them come." 2 nights later, her wolf stirred. It was faint, like a heartbeat she hadn't heard in years. She felt it when Caleb brushed her hand, when his lips grazed her temple. She wasn't used to touch, not like this. Gentle, reverent. He never forced a mark, never demanded anything from her. Until that night. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, hands at her waist. She didn't. Their bond flared to life. The moment his lips met hers, her entire being burned. Clothes vanished in a blur. Skin met skin. His hands traced every scar, every broken piece, as if they were sacred. She cried, and he kissed the tears away. "You're mine," he murmured, voice rough. "Every inch of you." And in that moment, she believed it. The mark came naturally, his fangs sinking into the space between her shoulder and neck, sealing the bond. Her own instincts rose, her wolf rising in a scream of joy. "I feel her," she sobbed. "My wolf, she's alive." But their bliss wouldn't last. Because at the edge of Nightwind's borders, Blackstone warriors prepared for war. Chapter 3, Marked for Blood. Daphne woke before dawn, tangled in silk sheets and arms that felt like iron bands. Caleb's arms. For a moment, she felt like she belonged. His scent clung to her skin, pine and fire and something purely him. Her mark pulsed faintly beneath her skin, echoing his heartbeat like they were 2 halves of the same soul. But peace is never promised to a girl like her. A soft knock at the door shattered the quiet. "My alpha," a voice said, cautious. "Blackstone wolves have crossed the river." Caleb rose instantly, muscles tensing beneath bare skin. "How many?" "Too many to be wandering. They're armed, and they carry Gideon's crest." Daphne sat up, her blood running cold. "They're here for me," she whispered. Caleb turned to her, his jaw clenched. "Then they've made their final mistake." In the war tent, an hour later, maps were rolled open. Warriors lined the walls. Daphne stood beside Caleb, her presence drawing 1,000 stares. Some shocked, some hostile. "Why is she here?" one beta growled. "She's Blackstone. She's mine," Caleb snapped. "And this war is over her blood, over her identity. If anyone should be here, it's her." Daphne hesitated. "There's something you don't know," she said quietly. All eyes turned. "I'm not just a mistake. My mother, Lyris, she was changed, touched by something dark before I was born." "What do you mean?" Caleb asked, brows furrowed. "She made a deal with the Shadow Pack before they were exiled, to bear a child with ancient blood. But something went wrong. They didn't get the power they wanted." "They got you," a voice whispered. Daphne nodded. "And they hated me for it." She looked up at Caleb. "I don't just carry Blackstone blood. I carry something older, something dangerous. I think that's why my wolf was caged. And now that she's back, they want me dead before I awaken fully." That night, the first attack came under a moonless sky. Arrows rained. Wolves howled. Fires erupted at the borderlands of Nightwind. Caleb shifted mid-stride, his black wolf massive and gleaming with rage. Daphne stood atop the war tower, her eyes glowing faintly with a power she didn't understand yet. And then something ancient stirred inside her. She screamed, not in fear but power. Bones cracked, muscles tore, and for the first time in her life, she shifted. A white wolf with glowing silver eyes rose where Daphne once stood. The wind bent around her. Fire flickered back from her presence. Warriors on both sides froze. Caleb looked up from the battlefield and gasped. "She's divine," Riker whispered inside him. "She's not just mated to us. She is the goddess's child." Meanwhile, deep in Blackstone, Luna Lyris stood at an altar of bones, dark magic swirling around her. "She has awakened," she hissed. Alpha Gideon looked shaken. "Then we'll bring her back in pieces." Lyris's eyes glowed pitch black. "No, we bind her, strip her again, or she will end us all." Back at Nightwind, Daphne descended the hill, her silver eyes piercing through smoke. She didn't need claws to fight. Not anymore. With a howl that cracked the sky, she surged forward, her aura flaring like a supernova. Blackstone wolves fell, paralyzed. Their minds crumbled under her presence. And when she reached the center of the battlefield, she faced them, her mother and father. Her voice echoed unnaturally, deep and ancient. "You hunted me like a dog. You are a dog," Lyris screeched. "A cursed one." "No," Daphne growled. "I am the reckoning you tried to kill." Then she did the one thing no one expected. She spared them. "Leave," she said coldly, "or I will erase every bloodline tied to yours." Lyris snarled, but something behind Daphne, within Daphne, glared back. The moon herself. And for the first time, Lyris bowed her head. Hours later, the battlefield lay silent. Blackstone was gone. Caleb stood behind Daphne as she stared at the rising sun. "You spared them," he said, voice filled with awe. "I did," she said, "because they'll die every day knowing they couldn't break me." He moved closer, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You were born for more," he whispered against her skin. "I was born unloved," she said, "but I will live adored." Chapter 4. The Alpha's Queen. The war was over, but peace hadn't arrived. Daphne stood on the Nightwind balcony in a black silk robe, the wind brushing her hair like a lover's touch. The pack was celebrating. Howls of triumph echoed through the valleys, but she didn't feel victorious. She felt watched. "You're tense," Caleb said from behind her, sliding his arms around her waist. "I feel exposed." He kissed her neck gently. "You're a goddess in a world of mortals. Of course they stare." She leaned into him. "Some of them want me dead." Caleb's grip tightened. "Then they die first." She didn't doubt his promise. but her instincts whispered something darker. A threat wasn't coming from outside Nightwind. It was already within. Later that evening, the council meeting was tense. Caleb sat at the head of the table, Daphne at his side, her presence silent but thunderous. Dressed in royal midnight blue, her silver eyes dared anyone to speak against her. Beta Rowan did. "Your mate is dangerous," he said coldly. "She may have helped us win, but she's part shadow. You said it yourself. We don't know what she's capable of." "She's capable of saving this entire realm," Caleb snapped. "Which is more than I can say for any of you. She could turn on us." "I chose her," Caleb growled. "Are you questioning your alpha?" "No," Rowan said slowly. "But others will." Daphne looked him in the eye. "Then they'll regret it." That night, they made love like wolves who knew war. Fierce, desperate, raw. Caleb worshipped every inch of her, whispering promises between kisses, his voice trembling with hunger and reverence. "You're not just my mate," he groaned, lips at her collarbone. "You're my queen." And when she looked up at him, eyes glowing power humming beneath her skin, he realized something terrifying. She was becoming something more than queen. She was becoming a symbol, a legend, a threat. Days passed. Whispers grew. Other packs began sending envoys. Some brought gifts requesting alliances. Others brought veiled threats in the form of marriage proposals, offering Daphne protection from Caleb's temper, as if she were some relic to be bartered. It disgusted her. "I want to leave," she said one night. "They'll never stop testing you because of me." "Then let them test me," Caleb replied. "They'll die trying." But she wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for him. The betrayal came on the full moon. Rowan. He had poisoned the council's vote, spread fear, lies, and doubt like wildfire. Half the elders now whispered that Caleb had been bewitched, that Daphne had corrupted the Alpha's bloodline, that she was no queen, only a cursed slave with a new leash. And Rowan did something unthinkable. He brought Gideon and Lyris back to Nightwind with a peace offering. "We come in surrender," Gideon said. "Let our daughter return to us. Let her heal what we broke." Daphne's eyes narrowed. "You want me back?" "No," Lyris said. "We want to end the war for good. And you are the bridge." Caleb stood between them like a wall of fury. "Touch her," he warned, "and I will burn your entire pack to the ground." But Daphne saw something in her mother's eyes. Desperation. Fear. She realized something then. They weren't here to take her. They were here to kill her. That night, she left the castle alone. She lured them into the woods. "I know what you're planning," she said softly, standing in the clearing where she had once almost died. "And I'm not afraid anymore." Lyris stepped forward. "You're too dangerous. You made me this way." Gideon raised his claws, ready to shift. But Daphne didn't run. Her wolf exploded from her in a blast of light and silver fury, knocking them both back. She didn't bite. She didn't claw. She took their power. With her new gift, awakened fully, Daphne absorbed their aura, their strength, their legacy. And when she stepped back, they lay unconscious, stripped of every ounce of alpha essence. She walked away. They were nothing now, just wolves without a crown. Chapter 5: The Moon's Judgment. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Daphne stood over the limp forms of Gideon and Lyris, their alpha aura completely drained. Her white wolf flickered in the shadows, eyes still glowing silver. But even she trembled with what had just happened. "I didn't mean to take it all," Daphne whispered. "I just wanted them to stop." But the moon had already heard her. Child of dual blood. A voice echoed through the trees, neither male nor female. Daughter of pain and power, you were not born to kneel. Daphne froze. Her wolf whimpered. "Who are you?" "I am the moon that watched you suffer, the one who gave you strength when none would. I am Selene, the mother of all wolves. And now, I pass judgment." The air thickened. Light poured through the canopy, forming the shape of a goddess, tall, glowing, ageless, with eyes that pierced through time itself. Daphne fell to her knees. You are more than wolf. You are more than cursed blood. You are my correction to the darkness your parents unleashed. I don't want to be a goddess, Daphne said, voice shaking. I just want to be loved. To be free. The moon goddess stepped forward. Her hand brushed Daphne's cheek. Then be both. At Nightwind Fortress, Caleb paced like a caged beast. She's been gone too long, he growled. She's strong, said his gamma Aaron. And if anyone can face her past, it's Daphne. But Caleb couldn't shake the dread clawing at his chest. He stormed toward the gates, only to stop when a scent flooded the air. Silver, rain, power. She returned. Daphne walked through the gate like a goddess cloaked in fury. Her hair floated as if caught in a breeze that didn't exist. Her eyes shimmered. Her aura pulsed through every corner of Nightwind. Caleb dropped to his knees, not in fear, but reverence. You're not the same, he whispered. I met her, Daphne said softly. Celine. His breath caught. What did she say? She said I was born to correct a mistake. Then she reached down, lifted his chin, and kissed him. But you, Caleb Rainthorn, are not one of them. You're my anchor. The peace didn't last. 3 lesser alphas, jealous of Caleb's power and Daphne's rising legend, formed a secret alliance. They sent assassins masked as envoys. That night, poison laced the wine, and Caleb fell. In the healer's tent, Daphne clutched his hand, eyes wild with fear. His breathing was ragged. His skin burned. Fight, she whispered. Don't you dare leave me. I'm sorry, he said, barely conscious. I should have listened. I let them too close. Daphne turned to the elders. Who did this? Silence. Fury bubbled in her throat. Her eyes went silver again, the entire room freezing as her power surged. Then I'll judge all of you. She dragged the 3 guilty alphas into the courtyard. They laughed in her face. You're no queen. You're just a witch in a pretty wolf's skin. But when she shifted white, glowing, divine, they dropped to their knees in terror. She didn't kill them. She did something worse. She marked them with shame, cursed them to never shift again. Wolves in human skin, outcasts of the moon. Let the world remember what happens when you poison an alpha's mate. At Caleb's bedside, he stirred. Alive. The antidote had worked. She collapsed into him, tears soaking his chest. You came back, he whispered, smiling weakly. I'll always come back, she said. You're the only place I've ever belonged. That night, the moon goddess appeared again, this time in their dream. You have chosen love, Celine said, and now love shall make you whole. She reached into Daphne's chest and Caleb's, drawing out a thread of light and binding them together. You are no longer alpha and mate. You are moonbound. And when they woke, they both felt it. Their hearts beat as one. Chapter 6, Moonbound. The sun rose over Nightwind, painting the sky in hues of silver and fire. It was the day of the mating ceremony. But this wasn't just a binding of wolves. It was a coronation of power, of legacy, of survival, of love that defied fate. The entire realm had gathered, packs from every corner, even those who had once stood against Caleb. They came not in protest, but in awe. They came to witness history. Daphne stood in her ceremonial gown, a flowing white dress laced with moonstone threads. Her long hair was woven with the feathers of spirit hawks, her silver eyes glowing softly, peacefully. And at her side, Caleb waited, dressed in dark wolfhide armor and obsidian rings. He looked like a king carved by the gods. Are you ready? He whispered. She turned to him and smiled. I was born ready. I just didn't know it yet. The ceremony began at moonrise. An altar of sacred stone stood at the heart of the Nightwind clearing, where the oldest trees bent inward as if bowing to the goddess herself. Elder Aaron stood between them. Before the eyes of the packs, and beneath the light of Celine, we bind the fates of 2 souls. Alpha Caleb Rainthorn of Nightwind, and Daphne of the Moonblood. Daphne stepped forward. I was born to pain, but I choose love. I was forged by cruelty, but I choose compassion. I choose him. Caleb followed. I was born for power, but I found purpose in you. I was a king without a queen. You are my sword, my storm, and my serenity. Their hands were bound with lunar silk. Their wolves howled in unison, and then they marked each other again, not with desperation, but with destiny. A second mark glowed, this one divine. A half-moon appeared on both their chests, the moon-bound mark, forever linked, forever stronger. But peace is never simple. That night, as celebration erupted, Daphne stood alone on the balcony once more. You feel it too, a voice said behind her. Caleb joined her, his arms wrapping around her like a shield. The world is watching, she whispered, some with love, others with envy. They always will, he replied, because you're not just my mate anymore. You're a legend. She turned to him. Then let's give them a future worth fearing. 6 weeks later, a summit was held at Nightwind Fortress. Daphne and Caleb stood before the new alliance of packs. Not with threats, but with truth. We will not rule through fear, Daphne said. We will lead by healing. But know this, if war comes again, it will find us ready. And united, Caleb added. In the months that followed, Daphne's story spread beyond the borders. Her name became a chant in other packs, the White Flame, the slave who rose, the moon's reckoning. Caleb strengthened Nightwind's defenses, but no one dared challenge them. Together, they rebuilt what generations had broken. They trained orphans, welcomed exiled wolves, and gave omegas and slaves their rights back. Daphne became more than a Luna. She became a voice, a symbol of impossible survival. 1 year later, the sky above Nightwind shimmered with falling stars as Daphne stood by the nursery window, hand on her belly, glowing with life. Do you think the world is ready for her? She whispered. Caleb stepped behind her, his hand resting over hers. She'll change everything, he said. Just like her mother. They kissed beneath the stars. Mate, queen, goddess, mother. She had been hated. She had been hunted. And now she had won. Not just her freedom, but her future.